The American dream is built on the foundations of freedom, equality, prosperity, and opportunity, ideals that sit strongly in the national ethos of the United States of America, the greatest country on earth, apparently. The funny thing about the ideals of the American dream is that they apply to everyone, not just America. It's become a generalized term to define our justification for why we keep striving to better our existence. Now, sorry to be the cynic in the room, but life doesn't usually work out the way you want it to, and it's difficult at times to come to terms with that, especially if you're young and zealous. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a show that has looked at the American dream through a very cynical and negative window. Instead of focusing on characters you're supposed to love and care for, the characters of this show are morally and socially oblivious to their own self-absorbed behaviour, yet the show goes as far as to make us sympathetic of the character's behaviour through emotional suggestions. And nowhere is this more true than in the life of Charlie Kelly. In this video, we're going to examine Charlie's life using his play The Nightman Cometh as the foundation for Charlie's tragic existence. While all the characters in the show fall on their selfish delusions of their own superiority complex, Charlie, despite his quirks, is the most proactive character in his pursuit for happiness, despite his troubling and tortured background. Firstly, his mother Bonnie was a very questionable person, frequently leaving Charlie alone while she performed sexual services in her bedroom. While it's likely Bonnie is a prostitute contradicting her shy, sweet, innocent personality, much like Cartman's mother in South Park, it's her love affair with Frank Reynolds that brings about a startling revelation. It's heavily implied that Frank is Charlie's real dad, who forced Bonnie into having an abortion that wasn't fulfilled, resulting in Charlie's unplanned and unwanted birth. His neglect comes from his mother not intending Charlie's existence, and this ultimately triggers his own emotional downfall. His early substance abuse as a child further goes to show how he lacks a comprehensive understanding of his past, especially his estranged relationship with his uncle, which is mirrored in Charlie's play, The Nightman Cometh. Whereas the rest of the gang view it as a new scheme, Charlie actually cares very much about the success of the project, making it one of the few times that the gang attempt to do something practical and productive. The play itself is a fantasy about a princess of a coffee shop who wants to have sexual relations with a boy, while the rest of the gang view it as a rape scenario. While the play is a subtle allegory for Charlie's fantasy to be with the waitress, on the other hand, Charlie's sexual abuse as a child is very prominent within the musical subtext. The song, The Nightman, is heavily implied to be a reconstruction of Charlie's encounter with his Uncle Jack. Uncle Jack is in fact the Nightman that Charlie is so afraid of, but Charlie's years of substance abuse has left his memory distorted, hence his inability to determine right from wrong. The lyrics of the song are aggressively graphic and twisted, but go to highlight Charlie's painful confusion. The song itself insinuates Uncle Jack's grooming and manipulation, and Charlie's emotionally tormented and conflicted experience. Later we even see Charlie add the lyrics,
"They took you, Nightman, and you don't belong to them,"
suggesting that maybe Uncle Jack did get cut, but nobody in the family seems to point this out during Charlie's misguided intervention. But what's striking is that Charlie is left upset by Jack's absence.
"They left me in a world of darkness without your sexy hands, and I miss you, Nightman, so bad."
It appears that at the time, Charlie naively believed in the Forbidden Act, and now, as an adult, he understands the brutality and repulsive nature of what happened to him. It left him scarred and unable to cope with his confidence and independence in later life. However, what's most interesting is the musical similarities to Eugene O'Neill's 1939 play, The Iceman Cometh. A connoisseur of American realism, Eugene O'Neill's highly political play focused around alcoholics caught up in an existential crisis and finding refuge in their own saloon. They ponder over their position in life and cry over the realization that they'll never truly be happy or successful. While it doesn't have a direct correlation with the subject matter of Charlie's play, it does symbolize the premise of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, disenfranchised pub owners in a state of social deprivation who spend their days feeling sorry for themselves. Furthermore, O'Neill's play even mirrors Russian social realist Maxim Gorky's 1901 play, The Lower Depths, which had an excessively pessimistic outlook on the truth being masked by delusional lies to make one feel better. Again, very similar to the premise behind It's Always Sunny's characters, who frequently reassure themselves that they are in fact perfect.
My nose was chiseled by the gods themselves, Frank. My body was sculpted to the proportions of Michelangelo's David.
The scary part is that these connections suggest that Charlie is in fact aware of the gang's desperate circumstances. No character is presented as the leader, but they all like to see themselves as one, and Charlie in particular always attempts to seize the opportunity to take control. When Charlie's promoted to manager by Frank, it reinforces his aspirations for power, but once he attains that power, he doesn't know what to do with himself. In fact, he's bored and disillusioned by the happiness he thought power would bring him. It's a depressing fact that after finally achieving one of his goals, it's brought him little happiness. His need to be seen as the leader hints at him attempting to hide his shameful realization that he failed in life. This is further accentuated by his habit of playing other characters and getting lost in the illusion, further suggesting his disconnection from his own identity. He lives in a state of filth and his poverty is very much recognised. Mac, Dee and Dennis look after themselves as if they have wealth, when in reality their situation is no better than Charlie, who simply embraces his deprived circumstances because of his instability. You feel sorry for him, he lacks confidence and care for himself compared to the others, and he's much more isolated than he appears. We know he's an incredibly hard worker considering the gang frequently press every responsibility onto him. That overwhelming responsibility that Charlie is under means he has little time to be responsible for his own personal life. He lived a neglected, troubled childhood, and the vicious cycle continues as he now has a neglected, troubled adulthood. At the end of the day, Charlie is an example of a deprived American dreamer. Yes, his circumstances are better than many, but this isn't a debate on poverty and inequality. It's a look at our impractical desire to achieve the things we desperately want and neglect the little things that we already have. The characters all have fair and admirable goals, but they never show any commitment to their ideals other than Charlie. He's a tragic character for sure, and his situation will never seem to improve, but he shows acceptance to his situation, and like all of us, he simply swallows his frustrations and pride, and just gets on with the daily grind. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to share your own thoughts in the comments below. You can tell I had a lot of fun making this because It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is one of the best things on television. If you like Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm or Seinfeld, definitely do check this show out. It's funny, it's clever, it's original. Until next time, stay safe, and if you're on Facebook or Twitter, if I can encourage you to go like those things, ask me questions, send all your responses there as well. I'll see you next week. New video essay. Woo!